Hello and welcome to another edition of Between the Ts, the knowledge sharing program from Texas Bank and Trust. I'm your host, Karen Partee. Today's segment is brought to you by the Texas Bank and Trust TBT Spirit of Giving program. Whether it's raising awareness and funds for local charities or swinging a hammer on a construction site, Texas Bank and Trust employees are dedicated to making a difference in the communities we serve. At TB&T, community is more than just an idea. It is a place where our story begins, where our families grow, where faith leads us home. It is that sense of belonging we feel when we come together with shared responsibilities and common values. It is the very reason that when neighbors help neighbors, we all become people who make the difference. Well, the Christmas season is upon us, which represents a time we pause to give thanks for the many blessings that we have received throughout the year, and of course to celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ. And while this season for many of us serves as a chance to reconnect with our family, friends, and our faith, it also calls attention to the needs of those around us. The holidays, though, can be a challenging time for many of our neighbors in our local communities. Organizations such as local food banks and homeless shelters play a critical role opening their doors to provide nutritious meals and warm beds to individuals who need it most. However, providing these services would not be possible without the generous donation of time and money from individuals wanting to give back. And here at Texas Bank and Trust, we take pride in featuring the work of individuals who graciously give of themselves to make a difference in the lives of the people in their local communities. And my guests today are two wonderful examples of that giving spirit. First, I'd like to introduce Miss Kila Collins and her mother, Lois Collins, who is an Assistant Vice President in Lending Operations here at Texas Bank and Trust. And Kila, although you are just the ripe old age of 8 years old, you are a veteran in giving back to organizations throughout the community. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that, and I want to start with you because I understand that you have been involved in a lot of volunteer programs, specifically here in Longview. Can you tell me your favorite one?
Coats for Kids.
Coats for Kids. Tell us about that program and why it's your favorite.
It is just hats, gloves, coats, and jeans that are being given out to kids who need them.
Do you know how long you've been working with the program?
3 or 4 years.
3 or 4 years. And how did you first get involved with doing this?
Well, my parents heard about it, and they wanted for us all to go.
Okay.
And then I had fun doing it, and we've been going ever since.
Excellent. So what do you do when you're volunteering with Coats for Kids? What are some of the activities that you do there? How do you help?
I give out hats and gloves for kids.
Okay, so when someone comes up, you help them find the proper item that they need for the winter. Excellent. Well, Lois, tell us about that, because I'm sure that you and your husband, Stephen, are very proud of Kila being involved with different organizations, not just Coats for Kids, but I know you guys have a lot of ways that you serve as a family. Talk to us. How did you decide that you were going to do this together and why it became a priority for the three of you?
Well, we actually met on a mission trip, my husband and I, and so I think that's sort of been both of our hearts since before we were a family. And we started her very young. Anytime we had the opportunity to serve where she could come with us, she came with us. She's served pizza at events that we've helped with. Our church does an event called Missioncation, which is actually a family-oriented mission trip. Excellent. So when she was about 3, she went on her first mission trip and helped serve other children there. We've tried to get her mostly involved with things where she can see other kids in need and serve and help them.
So this was a conscious decision that you and Stephen made, that she was going to be involved in the ways that you serve as well. Why was it so important to have that set an example for her?
I think our world has a very different example, especially when it comes to our children and our younger generation, that they take for granted sometimes. We never wanted her to take for granted how blessed we are to enjoy the things that we do.
Absolutely.
To know that there are other children that don't have the opportunities that she does.
Now, Kyla's seen from such an early age the benefits of volunteering, but has she ever come to you and asked you, why do we need to help those in need? And if so, how have you responded?
I think most of her questions have come, we served with our church at Truman Smith, and she had some questions, not as many as I thought, because she was young. She just sort of took it as it was, and without the preconceived ideas that we have when we're older, I think. Most of her questions have come from times that we have served foster children and foster families. I think she had a hard time understanding how kids end up without their parents there to help them, and so we had to answer a lot of questions more around those sort of situations than we did anything else, I think.
So, Kyla, you help with Coats for Kids. That's your favorite. Do you have any others that come to mind that you think about when you're volunteering, when someone asks about how you volunteer, some other ways that you've helped serve?
One thing that I really remember is one year we were with a couple of life groups, a couple of other life groups at our church, and we went to this apartment complex, and its playground needed repairing very badly, so we all helped rake leaves, build swing sets, and my dad and a couple other men worked for the plumbing because there was a plumbing problem or something. I think it was they were digging a hole and the rushing water came.
So you helped put a playground back together for other kids. How cool is that? Does it make you feel good to help and serve others in the community?
Yes.
So what would you tell your friends, that they come up to you at school and you talk about all the volunteer work you're doing, and they ask you, Kyla, how did you get involved? How would you tell them? How would you encourage them to get involved? What would you tell them?
Just find something that you like to do and that you're good at. Instead of something that's tricky and is very boring for you.
Right. Well, excellent advice, and I hope your friends are coming up and you'll have an opportunity to talk to them about the wonderful things that you're doing and the ways that you are serving. So, Lois, for parents out there who do want to get their children more involved and they want to serve with them, I know it's not as easy to take your child to maybe a construction site, building affordable housing and all of that, but there are organizations out there that you can work together as a family, and I know you have found ways to do that. How would you encourage other parents to get their children involved and do it together in a joint effort as a family?
I would say start small.
I
think it doesn't have to be this big, mission trip that you go on or anything like that. I think just making a conscious effort to talk about it at home, even if you're collecting items for the food drive that they're doing right now. But use that as an opportunity to explain the purpose behind it and that sort of thing, and get them involved instead of just going to the store and picking up items and kind of keeping it to yourself. Just make it a family affair. And even when it comes to donating clothes, she helps us go through her items that she's outgrown or anything like that. And instead of me doing it myself, she does it, and she realizes where it's going, that we're donating it to a foster family or to Hope's Closet or something like that, that we're not just giving it, she knows where it's going, I guess.
Absolutely. So Kyla, when you're helping, and you do help the kids who come in and looking for coats, or when you're donating your unused clothes, as your mom said, to a foster family, what does that feel like for you?
It makes me very happy that those kids are getting their coats and clothes and shoes.
Excellent, and you are doing good work out there. Lois, can you tell us though, what's the first step though? How do parents connect with organizations? Where would they even start to find organizations that might need volunteer service from a family?
It's a good question. We actually just, I guess this week, she's come home with things from school.
Okay.
Where they're doing a food drive at school. Of course, we have to talk about that at home.
Absolutely.
And do the things to get it there. And so I think the schools are probably an overlooked place. She comes home with all these things in her backpack.
Okay.
They did a drive for the new Longview Animal Shelter for things. And then we plug in a lot through our church. Our church is very mission-minded, and so I think if you have a home church that you go to, you can get plugged in there and just ask around. Again, I think too there's things advertised in the newspaper, so or even just as simple as going and helping your neighbor.
Absolutely.
If you see that they have a need, their yard's not done, or something like that, or you know that someone's been in the hospital, you can cook a meal for them, but make sure that your kids are there with you and involved in hospital visitation or anything like that. It'd be a good place to start, I think.
Well, it's all good information, and Kyla, we certainly appreciate you coming and talking to us about how you serve. Again, one of our smallest volunteers that we have ever had here at the bank, and we know that you've helped us in some of our projects here, and we're excited to have you on board and being a shining example to all of your friends that you go to school with and that you even go to church with. And there are a lot of ways for parents to plug in for themselves and for their children, and we know we have a lot of moms and dads out there looking for this as a great way to connect with their friends and family during this Christmas season. And Mom and Dad, there truly are a lot of ways that you and your children can serve in the community. And if you are looking to do just that in your local community, simply reach out to food banks and other nonprofit organizations in your area. No matter where you are, if you have a desire to serve, there's someone that certainly can use your helping hands. And that is all the time that we have for today's edition of Between the Ts. Again, we'd like to thank our special guest, Miss Kila Collins, and her mom, Lois, for joining us today. Be sure to tune in next time as we continue to explore ways to take control of your financial world. And in the meantime, remember that knowledge is always powered when it's shared between the T's. I'm your host, Karen Partee. Thank you for joining us.